Hey, welcome back everyone. So I'm happy that you're able to join me for this video walkthrough, and I want to share one of my favorite EdTech tools that I've been a huge fan of since it kind of got pushed out a while back. I'm a huge fan of using audio, and I think audio is a really interesting way to give students an outlet to share their thinking, share their voice, especially in a remote environment where text discussion forums might get maybe a little bit tedious or a little bit redundant, and it's not providing students with like a rich opportunity to share their thinking in like lots of different modalities. So using discussion forums, really reasonable and super powerful. But imagine if we could use audio through a tool like Synth to create audio discussion forums, or to allow students to create an audio portfolio, or even build a collaborative class podcast. So it's just a really nice outlet for kids to share their thinking. And I'm going to walk you through the whole setup process at a pretty reasonable process through Synth. So the first thing we'll do is head over to Synth, and it's gosynth.com. So once we're logged in, on the podcast tab, what I'm going to do is just jump to create podcast. So creating this here, I'll do live video demo as the name of my podcast. Let me move myself out of the way. And so now with live video demo, I'm just going to hit start podcast. So literally with just that second click, here's the link to my podcast that I've created. Now, I have a lot of options now. If I just want to use this as a tool to push audio out to my students, I can add audio to this podcast whenever I want to, copy that link, drop it into my Google Classroom section, Canvas, Schoology, anywhere you want students just to consume your ideas. The nice thing about this as well is you can run Synth on your mobile phone, you can run it on your iPad, and then whenever you're ready to, just add a new 4-minute audio segment, and then it auto updates. The kids have the link, they can listen to you. So imagine creating like this daily audio recap of the day, or once a week you do a few mini episodes to kind of capture and explain the main ideas, and that's just teacher audio pushing out to kids. What we really want to pay attention to is this participant code, and I'll demo that in a second. So now that I've made this, if I wanted to use this from purely the teacher perspective, I would click the plus button here, record my voice. Hey everyone, this is Mr. Coolwick. Welcome to the first episode of my history podcast that I'll be updating every day at the end of our day of remote learning, and then you can check in periodically to hear up to a 4-minute recap of the critical idea or concept of the day. Stop that. I will hit done. It's going to send this through right now, so just a moment. I will hit next, and I'll call this Mr. K Day 1 Overview. Hit next, send that up to my podcast, and in just a moment, there's my audio. I'll close this little pop-out window up. So there's the name of our podcast. There's my Day 1 Overview. From here, if I need my kids to get to this podcast, no problem. Click the share button here, that universal icon for share, and there's my link that I can post anywhere. If you're handy with embed codes, you can embed this podcast into an LMS or a website if you wanted to. I'm going to close that out. So that's just kind of teacher pushing the content out. But imagine if you want students to kind of collaborate and contribute. Watch what we can do now. I'm going to go to the plus button again. And now instead of just adding audio as a teaching tool, I'm going to add audio as a question prompt. So we'll do that now. So start. Hey everyone, this is Mr. Coolwick. Welcome to the end of week 1, and this is our audio reflection environment. So based on everything we've explored, I want you to work on one of our visible thinking routines to capture the shift in your thinking for the week. And that's going to be, I used to think, but now I think. So don't forget, prep your idea ahead of time, refer to your notes, kind of maybe map out the 2 or 3 points you'd like to make on I used to think, but now I think. And when you're ready, simply below my audio, click the plus button to add audio as an audio reply in this little audio discussion forum. Keep in mind, you have only 4 minutes of total speaking time, so try to be concise and right to the point. I can't wait to listen to your submissions. So there's my audio. I'll hit done. Let this process. Takes a few moments. I'm happy with that. I will hit next. So I'll call this Mr. K Week 1 Reflection. Please reply below. Hit next. Send that up to my podcast. And that's what it looks like. Mr. K, week 1 reflection, please reply below. So the students can listen here. So start. Hey everyone, this is Mr. Coolwick. Welcome to the end. Right, so that's what the experience will be, and then they can tap here to reply. When they land in my class, and I'll give them the code to land here, this is what they would see. This week 1 reflection, please reply below. Like I mentioned earlier, they can tap on that, pops up here, they can play and listen and then reply. So how do we get the students there? That's the important question. We need the sharing link or the code for this class. So I'll go triple dots, settings. Here is our podcast code. And notice I can reset that if I don't like it. I can distribute that to my students through an LMS, a direct message, an email, however you get your kids to that code. What they need to do now with that code is go to Synth, log in with their Google account, and then instead of creating a podcast, they're going to add to your podcast. And I'll demo that right now. Now, before we demo it, actually, if you'll notice below, in the settings of your podcast, you can even turn on moderation mode, which means every audio file that gets dropped to you, it's private to you until you open it up. So you have some control in that capacity. So I'm copied that code. Let's close this out. Now I'm just going to open a tab and go back to gosynth.com as if I were the student. I'm logged into my Google account. I go to the podcast tab. Here's where I dump in the participation code, paste that in, push forward, and now I'm landing in my teacher's podcast, but I can contribute as the student. I'll role play the student right now, tap on the week 1 reflection. This is kind of our audio discussion forum. I'll tap create thread and then start. Hey, Mr. Coolwick, so at the start of the unit, I used to think, and they do their explaining, but now after the week long of exploring, reading some primary source documents, a few assignments I've worked on, a video or two, but now I think, and they go do that process. So stop. Here's done to submit. So we'll just push that through. Wait for that to get ready. I'm just going to push through and load that in. So this is where I'll rename it with my name. So I'll call Greg, right, student demo reply. So the student can put their name there. If they don't put their name, don't worry about it, because the way it will show and list, I'll just do a refresh here. The way it will list is you'll see whatever their name is that's pulled from their Google profile automatically. So there's my Google profile. I would encourage them to put their name there. So that's the whole process. What you have the ability to do now is create a podcast where you can simply push information to your students, or you can create even this kind of collaborative audio discussion forum. Another approach, if you're feeling really comfortable, is you might make podcasts for different small cohorts of kids, give each small cohort the code, so you might have 5 students collaborating on the group 1 podcast, but you're the owner, so you can get to it whenever you want to. Or another 5 kids working on the group 2 podcast. So it's a really awesome platform to integrate audio into your online or remote environment. Good luck. I hope this tutorial was successful. It's going to help you out moving forward. I'll try to push these out as often as I can, so don't forget to subscribe down below so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos, and I look forward to connecting with you again.